After 1 month of grinding and hype, we've finally reached our final destination, the NA and EU Flash Ops Holiday Showdown Finals. If you're craving professional Overwatch, then this is the place you want to be. This week, we'll be taking a deep dive into important info, format, team analysis, as well as bracket predictions. In today's video in particular, we'll be focusing on the North American bracket, with the EU tourney having its own separate video later this week. For now, let's just focus on NA. Starting with the basic information, this tournament will go from December 14th through December 17th. It's an 8-team double elimination bracket with $50,000 in prizes. In terms of the broadcast information, while I haven't seen any official announcements, I would guess this event will be streamed on one, if not multiple of, either the Play Overwatch, Overwatch Contenders, and or Overwatch League social channels, so keep an eye on the YouTube and Twitch stuff for sure. If it happens to be somewhere else though, I will leave a link in a pinned comment down below. No matter what though, I can assure you this tournament as well as the EU will have official broadcast, not just player POVs. In terms of the start time, it's gonna sadly depend on the day. According to the Flash Ops registration page, the upper bracket first and second rounds will all be played on the same first day. But on this first day, the start time is 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern, which is strangely late. Day 1 is going to go into the late hours of the night, so just keep that in mind. After the first day though, things will be a lot more standard, like 12 Pacific, 3 p.m. Eastern for the most part the rest of the way through. Things could change on a dime though, so I would definitely keep notifications on. And the final thing to keep in the back of your mind for this tournament is that I believe there's a possibility they'll be playing on the new Mauga patch. APAC did not do that in their tournament, but I think I heard Seeker or like somebody else on stream say they're going to be playing on that patch a while back, so maybe it's possible. Don't quote me if I'm wrong there, but I would not be shocked if it happens. This of course could drastically shake up the outcome of the tournament if Mauga proves to be really good, not to mention any other buffs that come with the other heroes, like with Tracer for example. We'll have to see what happens there, but I mean, that's pretty much all the essential info that you need to remember as we head towards tournament day. Now for a breakdown of the bracket. Let's see who made it through the Swiss stage. So after 10 rigorous matches each, the 8 qualifying teams are Primis Tornado, Wisp, Timeless, Pirates in Pajamas, Timeless Obsidian, O3 Splash, Left Right Goodnight, and Dope Gaming. Each of these teams posted a record of at least 8-2, with Primis Tornado managing to go 10-0. Things were actually pretty damn close, as a lot of teams just barely made the cutoff. There's a good combination of known Overwatch League and Contenders talent, and some people you're maybe watching for the first time in this bracket, so let's do a breakdown to see who's looking the best and what you can look forward to. Starting at the top, the 1 seed, Primis Tornado. We know this group very well. It's the Toronto Defiant American Tornado Core plus Cal, a team with excellent synergy, star playmaking led by Hydron and Ultraviolet, and some other very underrated players. And they've also got a couple of solid substitutes on hand in case somebody can't play. Generally though, really not much to dislike with this roster. Regardless of their Toronto Defiant shortcomings, it's still a solid Overwatch League caliber roster with lots of achievements at this level of play. This is where they have shined in the past, when the competition isn't really as high and you're not really playing any of those big time Korean teams. And just knowing how great this team's synergy is as well, it'll be really hard to beat them. In the result that the patch is able to change things up, maybe that would make an opening, as this team definitely thrived under the Sojourn, May, Sigma setup, but even then they'll probably still manage, as pretty much every game they played in the Swiss round wasn't particularly close, and I think a lot of it has to do with their excellent synergy and their solid talent from top to bottom. They got taken to 5 maps just a single time in their Swiss stage, and they happened to beat 5 of the possible 7 opponents in this bracket already, which includes other favorites like Timeless and Wisp. This team is pretty stacked in most aspects, so don't be surprised to see them go all the way in dominant fashion. Would I say it's a guaranteed cakewalk though? Oh, definitely not. And I think part of it is because of Wisp. Literally, like I just said, they took Primis Tornado to a map 5, the only team to do so, and that happened to be their only loss they sustained during the qualifier. They may not have the big names that other teams do, but they got the second seed in this thing. It happened for a reason, and I'd highly consider them to be one of the dark horses that could maybe make a run. As a prominent presence in the NA contender scene, they've got pretty good team play themselves, and they boast a lot of talent that people don't appreciate enough. I think they have a good mix of it. You have Overwatch League players like CJ and Liar, but then a lot of exciting NA prospects that were winning contenders recently, like Rocket, Chopper, and Boat. That is a great DPS trio. Anyone remember the Tracer play of Rocket alongside Chopper's hitscan in the Pro-Am? Those guys are no joke. I like this Wisp team a lot. I thought they actually had a good shot of being top 3 at the start of November, and I still have good faith that they can make it happen. It's not going to be easy, but I think these guys at their current point in their career are ready to take the next step. And what better time than right now? If they manage to play up to their potential, the sky's the limit. Speaking of playing up to their potential, I'd say that most people believe the other favorite in this thing to be Timeless. Aside from Primis Tornado, they're boasting the most Overwatch League players of the tournament. A sugar-free Seeker DPS line with RuPaul and Hawk has a lot of potential to do some nasty things. We're talking about a bunch of the best North American players on the planet. Seeker, he's so freaking good. He was great for the Valiant, and now he has such good teammates behind him. And then you have RuPaul's consistency on top of it, Sugar-Free and his flexibility, and Hawk, who has a good tendency to be pretty solid on new tank heroes, or he could just dominate on like Doomfist and Sig. This team is really, really good, and they most definitely could take home the gold, regardless of what we've seen from the Swiss stage. Although, on the topic of that Swiss stage, like Wisp, their one loss came to Primis Tornado, and sadly, this game was not very close. It goes to show just how much synergy really can make a difference in this type of thing. That team seems to be the benchmark. If you want to win it all, it has to go through them. But back then, I think that Timeless weren't quite at full strength. Their synergy probably isn't as strong as right now, and Hawk was also not playing. If you give me the best version of themselves, plus more time playing with each other, I really do think things could be more different, or at the very least more competitive. I think you'll see a better overall team compared to the Swiss stage, and that's a statement considering they still went 9-1. But yeah, I'd consider those three we just talked about to be the favorites, just the best teams overall, but we shouldn't discredit or count out the other teams either. Let's roll through them so you can judge for yourself. The 4 seed is Pirates in Pajamas, another NA contender staple. They went through a lot of respectable teams in the Swiss stage, and they somewhat held their own. They definitely fall out of that top tier favorite range, but they might be just below it. In the last year, they've established themselves as a consistent top finisher in multiple NA contenders tournaments, and their roster is fairly deep. Honestly, I don't know that much about them overall, but what I can tell you is that top 4, maybe even top 3, is a possibility. And I'd say Timeless Obsidian is right there with them. A lot of people you may not have heard of, but they damn near had a perfect stage, as they lost in 5 maps to both O3 Splash and Wisp. They've got a decent duo of Dove and Dynasty for DPS, and they're around the level of a good number of teams in this bracket, and I consider them to maybe be another sleeper that you gotta keep your eye on. Someone who requires a bit less vision to see the potential, though, is O3 Splash. They've got our boy Crimzo plus Deco as the likely starting support line, but they also have Crimzo's girlfriend Aramori plus Pummy. That backline is super IQ, they're deep, and they have a lot of potential. And like, Cowman Haven and Doomed are relatively well-established NA players too. It's a good team that should be fairly competitive regardless of what place they finish. And finally, the 7 and 8 seeds I kinda hold in the same light. Left, Right, and Dope are just these chill, 5-man rosters looking to have some fun that you maybe don't have super high expectations for. Left, Right don't have any huge names, but the 5 they have are all respectable. Lep and Luke Mino are not a terrible backline by any stretch. Icy's been a consistent tank player for years. Vision has flashed great potential as a hit scan, and Lethal has shown that he can be a good contributor on teams that are not a complete dumpster fire. The thing is, though, they didn't play a lot of noteworthy teams in the Swiss, which could come back to haunt them, but for what it's worth, they're the only other team to even take a map off Primis Tornado, so maybe they have a chance to get the ball rolling here. Could Dope Gaming maybe be in for a similar miracle run? Well, in my opinion, probably not. They're not all that proven for one, and they did just squeeze in here, but at the same time, I can't help but want to root for them. I find this team to be extremely likable. King, Rack Attack, and Nero all together. It's really cool that they got to make it here, especially with Rack. Just seeing him be on a team that found some kind of success for once is a major feel strongman moment. And then you have King, who's like this hella underrated player. He's got another chance to prove to the world just how skillful he is. And honestly, just seeing Nero play again is pretty sick, as he did retire this year. Although, it is worth mentioning that he is going to be playing flex support, so I don't know how well his team is going to do. Probably one of the lowest chances to win overall, if we're being honest, but honestly, just seeing them play in a tournament like this at all is more than enough. Anything more is basically just a bonus at this point. But yeah, those are the 8 teams participating in the NA tournament, so let's swing into some predictions. Realistically, Primis Tornado should be winning this tournament. Their experience that they have working together should give an overwhelming advantage. But I think that picking the top dog all the time is kind of boring, and recently I've fallen into that trap. I just did it with Hamster and APAC, so let's change it up and have a bit of fun. I picked them back in November, so I'm going to stick with them until the very end. Give me Timeless to win the finals in a 7-map banger against Primis Tornado. For my bracket as a whole, to keep it spicy, I could maybe see Timeless losing to Primis in Winners Finals and then maybe making the salty run back happen. Seems pretty possible just knowing what this team is and what they're capable of. I'm expecting better results than last time no matter what they end up doing though, just knowing how much more time they've had to practice together. And like I said, I think that improved synergy plus potentially having Hawk and some meta changes could lead to a good shakeup, and I'm actually going to bank on that happening. I'm a bank on beneficial changes plus people like Seeker and RuPaul and Sugarfree just doing their thing. Timeless are one of the favorites too, so I wouldn't necessarily consider them winning to be an upset or any kind of shocker, but I'd like to think anyone not named Primis Tornado winning would at least be kind of an upset, just knowing how the Swiss stage went and what kind of team they are. So yeah, I'ma stick with my boys and give Timeless first, Primis second, and then Wisp third. I actually have a lot of confidence in this Wisp team to finish high and push the top teams to their limits and maybe even make a surprise finals appearance. They're a pretty good team, man. I could even see them making a big upset happen, like against Timeless, for example. Don't count these guys out. Aside from them getting third place, or maybe even like second, plus me thinking that Timeless gets first, I don't really know if I see any huge upsets. There's like a couple 50-50 games in the mix for sure, but I think a lot of games in this bracket should have clear favorites. There's a good chance this tournament goes exactly how you'd expect it to, with Primis Tornado kind of rolling through everybody, but considering all the fun players participating, it should be a pretty fun event no matter what happens. I'd love to know who you think wins and who you're rooting for down in the comments below. And if you're new to my channel and you're maybe watching me for the first time, you definitely want to consider giving this video a like and subscribing for more Overwatch esports content just like this. Stay tuned for the EU tournament, guys. Peace.